Ever wondered if the Bible says you should pay tithes? So I woke up Sunday morning and I started to question maybe I should start attending church again because I don't pay my dues, my tithes. I do my own research, I pray to God, I believe in God, but throughout all my research I've come to the conclusion that I really have a hard time believing in everything that the church does. So this is my reason for not attending any longer. So along with this question, I decided to do more research. So the question that I Googled was, where in the Bible does it say we should pay tithes? And I came up with a really good article that I wanted to share with you guys. And I'm going to put the source below to give credit where credit is due. So where I found this article was from Bible.org. And the title of the blog says, where in the Bible does it say that you should give 10% of your income for tithes? The body states, the Bible does not indicate anywhere that tithing is applicable or expected in our time at all. It was a system which was brought in following the Exodus from Egypt and the forming of the children of Israel into a nation of their own. Their nation was divided into 12 tribes, and 11 of these tribes grew crops, had animals, inherited land, etc. The 12th tribe, Levi, were the priests and administrators of the nation. They had no land, animals, or crops, so the 11 tribes had to give the tribe 10% of their income. This mathematically works out that they were all then equal, because from this part which was given to the tribes of Levi, they still had to make their own offerings of the 10th to God, the same as for other tribes that had to. And this was seen in the Bible in Numbers 18:25-39. The tithing to give to the Levinites was basically playing the same part as our taxes do today. Our taxes pay for the everyday administration of our country. The Levinites did everything from attending the tabernacle, the temple, judging disputes, diagnosing illnesses, being the judicial system, etc. Tithing was part of the old law, or what is sometimes referred as to the Moses law, the law of Moses. It was given specifically to the nations of Israel, God's chosen people. Ezekiel 20:10-11, therefore I let them out of Egypt and brought them into the desert. I gave them decrees and made them known by my laws, for the man who obeys them will live by them. Also I gave them my Sabbath as a sign between us, so they would know that I am Lord, made them holy. The law of Moses was a law of sacrificing to God for the anointment of sins. This was looking forward to the time when the one true, sinless Lamb, Jesus Christ, would be offered to atone for the sins committed by Adam and Eve. When Jesus came, and as a sinless sacrifice for our sinful nature, he fulfilled the old law by his sacrifice and brought in a new one, referred to as the law of Christ. The old law was complete. It was obsolete. Romans 10:44. Christ is the end of the law, so that there may be righteousness for everyone who believes. Tithing was part of the old law, which is done away with. We cannot continue with parts of the law which we choose. The old law was gone. Jews continued to the old law because they refused to recognize the true position of Jesus Christ, that he was God's only Son. So if we would keep on with the parts of the old law, we are doing the same thing. We as Christians have never been under the old law. It was only following the rejection of Christ by the Jews that we as Gentiles were given the opportunity to be part of God's plan. Money was definitely donated for the purpose of supporting very poor members in Jerusalem, but never to pay to a leader so that became his income. Voluntarily helping someone, as the Macedonian brethren did for Paul, is quite different from tithing. We should be aware of the other's needs, and when we see the opportunity to help privately, then we should do so. The message of the New Testament is that our offerings in God's service should be voluntarily, and that no amount is set, and that the accumulation of wealth, even by the church, is not right. Rather, we should provide and give to the poor. One of the very great dangers of church demanding tithes is that the accompanying perceived threat or fear that acceptance by God depends on the amount of money that is given. The acceptance is something money cannot buy. Often pastors of church who tithe are very wealthy people, at the expense of their congregation. Yet they often claim that they are wealthy because they have been blessed by God. Yet Paul could say, "I will very gladly spend for you everything I have, to expend myself as well. I have not been a burden to you." And that was 2 Corinthians 12:16. So to summarize what I just read, how I took it is that tithing was put into place to manage the tribes of Israel. And as Christians, if you believe that Jesus died for your sins and there were new laws put into place, we should no longer follow the rules of the Old Testament. So, tithing is not a necessity to be blessed or to consider yourself a person of God. I do believe that you should give with a loving heart, and you should do for others as you would want people to do for you. This kind of confirms how I feel about going to church. You know, the church kind of does what they personally feel is right, what they want to do, and they don't go by what God says. Your main focus should be having a relationship with God, not your appearance, not what you give, and etc. So after reading this article, I now have a new question to research. Why is it that some people follow the Old Testament, some people follow the New Testament, but they are both in the Bible? How can you believe that the Bible is the truth, but only follow parts of it? How can you only follow the New Testament? How can you only follow the Old Testament? If the Bible is the truth, shouldn't it all be followed?